In 1886, the world of chess was about to change forever when a single confrontation brought together two extraordinary minds and transformed a simple board game into a true battlefield of intellect. To understand the grandeur of that moment, one must step back in time and grasp what chess represented to 19th century society. It was an era of profound transformation. The Industrial Revolution had reshaped cities, science was advancing by leaps and bounds, and the belief that human reason could master and organize the world defined the spirit of the age. Chess, in this context, was not seen merely as entertainment, but as the ultimate representation of human intelligence in conflict. By that point, chess was already respected as a noble pastime, practiced by intellectuals, aristocrats, and scholars. Chess academies flourished in the great European capitals, and tournaments attracted crowds eager to witness genius in action. Yet something essential was still missing, an official structure that clearly defined who truly was the best player in the world. The title of World Chess Champion existed only as a vague idea, discussed in cafes, clubs, and newspapers, without clear rules, without recognized authority, and without a definitive confrontation that could put an end to the debates. Each new tournament produced new claimants, and the specialized press thrived on unresolved controversies and rivalries. It was a vacuum of intellectual power that urgently demanded resolution. In this climate of uncertainty, two men stood above all others, each representing a completely different vision of the game and of the human mind itself. On one side was Wilhelm Steinitz, born in Prague in 1836 into a humble Jewish family with 14 children. From an early age, his mind showed an extraordinary capacity for abstract and systematic thought. Steinitz arrived in Vienna to study mathematics, but it was at the chess tables of Viennese cafes that he found his true calling. He was an Austrian strategist, a methodical thinker, deeply logical, who believed that chess should be played according to scientific, positional, and rational principles. Over decades, Steinitz developed a revolutionary theory, the idea that chess was not a game of brilliant blows and romantic sacrifices, but a rigorous discipline, almost mathematical, in which every decision should be based on concrete and verifiable factors. He identified elements such as spatial advantage, pawn structure, control of key squares, king safety, and piece activity as the invisible pillars that determined the outcome of a game. Steinitz did not seek only dazzling attacks, but the patient construction of small advantages, believing that victory was the inevitable result of correct decisions accumulated throughout the game. To many of his contemporaries, his style seemed dry, calculating, almost devoid of emotion. But to Steinitz, that was precisely the point. True chess should not depend on inspiration, but on deep understanding. On the other side stood Johannes Zukertort, born in 1842 in Poland, a man of almost frightening talent and captivating personality. His intelligence was remarkable in multiple fields. Beyond chess, he mastered several languages, was a trained physician, a gifted journalist, and a brilliant orator. Zukertort was the charismatic and elegant Polish-German master, known for his aggressive, creative, and daring style, capable of enchanting entire audiences with spectacular combinations. Where Steinitz built, Zukertort attacked. Where Steinitz calculated, Zukertort intuited. He represented the Romantic school of chess at its absolute peak, the belief that genius and creativity were the true tools of a champion. His games were works of art, filled with unexpected sacrifices, deep combinations, and an aesthetic beauty that left spectators breathless. In 1883, at the London tournament, Zukertort achieved the most spectacular result of the era, finishing 3 points ahead of the field and confirming his status as the player in the best form in the world. Zukertort was admired not only for his skill at the board, but also for his magnetic personality, multifaceted intelligence, and commanding presence in European salons. For years, both men claimed, directly or indirectly, the right to be considered the best in the world, fueling a rivalry that grew with every tournament and every article published in the specialized press. The words exchanged between them, both on the board and in print, were charged with tension and reluctant mutual respect. This rivalry inevitably demanded a definitive resolution, something that would end the debates and establish once and for all who the true king of chess was. Thus was born the idea of the first official match for the world title, a long, exhausting, and unprecedented confrontation that would test not only technical skill, but also physical and mental endurance. Negotiations stretched on for months, with both sides bargaining over every detail: prize money, playing conditions, the number of wins required, and the locations of the games. It was, in itself, a battle before the battle. The location chosen to host this historic event was the United States, a rising nation, distant from European traditions, yet hungry for great intellectual spectacles. Late 19th century America was experiencing a moment of cultural effervescence. Major cities were growing at an impressive pace, and the American public had developed a particular appetite for chess, largely thanks to the legacy of the legendary Paul Morphy, the New Orleans genius who had dominated Europe decades earlier. The journey began in the vibrant city of New York, a cultural and economic center that symbolized the future and modernity of the late 19th century. At Cartier's Academy Hall, an elegant gaming hall located in the heart of Manhattan, intellectuals, curious onlookers, journalists, and enthusiasts gathered, all aware that they were about to witness something unique. Newspapers covered the event prominently, and telegrams with the moves were sent to chess clubs around the world. The rules of the contest were simple, yet merciless. There was no limit to the number of games, and the first player to reach 10 victories would be crowned world chess champion. Draws did not count toward the score, making each game a battle of endurance, strategy, and nerves of steel. A single distraction, a single mistake at a critical moment could squander hours of patient work and accumulated advantage. A crucial innovation was also introduced in this historic match: the mechanical chess clock, which finally turned time into a strategic element of the game. Before that, games could drag on for endless hours, with players deliberating indefinitely over each move. The clock changed everything, imposing rhythm, creating pressure, and demanding that genius manifest itself within real limits. For the first time, players were not only fighting their opponent, but also the minutes silently slipping away. The match began, and Steinitz won the first game with cold, almost clinical precision, making it clear that his approach was deeply calculated. Each move was the result of coherent, relentless logic, built upon foundations he had refined over decades. Zukertort, however, responded forcefully, showing why he was considered one of the most brilliant players of his time, dominating the subsequent games in New York. His combinations flourished, and the audience was treated to the spectacular chess for which he was famous. At the end of the New York stage, Zukertort led the score 4-1, and many believed Steinitz was on the verge of a humiliating defeat. The press began to question Steinitz's methods, while praising Zukertort's aggressive and confident style. Some newspapers even published premature obituaries for Steinitz's theories, declaring the end of the positional school before it had truly been tested. The match then moved to St. Louis, requiring a long and exhausting journey by steam train across vast American landscapes. Entire days were spent inside railway cars, rattling along the tracks, with the constant noise of the wheels and the stifling heat of the boilers. During this journey, Steinitz had time to reflect, analyze his mistakes, and above all, reaffirm his confidence in the principles he defended. As the train advanced through the American interior, he mentally reviewed each lost game, identifying not weaknesses in his philosophy, but flaws in its execution. In St. Louis, everything changed completely. Steinitz's play became more solid, deeper, and more relentless. His positional style began to suffocate Zukertort, limiting his options and forcing him into uncharacteristic mistakes. It was like watching a slow, methodical constriction. Steinitz narrowed the space, eliminated counterplay, and built mounting pressure with no visible escape. Zukertort's confidence began to waver, and the score gradually evened out, game by game. The initial advantage disappeared, and psychological tension grew heavier with each round. The final stage of the match was scheduled for New Orleans, a city rich in symbolism for chess, the birthplace of the legendary Paul Morphy. The oppressive heat and humidity became an additional enemy. Zukertort's health visibly deteriorated, his energy fading, his calculations less precise. Steinitz, by contrast, grew stronger, more precise, and increasingly dominant. Game after game, his advantage grew until the 20th game sealed the outcome. Under intense pressure, Zukertort made a fatal mistake. He had nothing left. Wilhelm Steinitz was crowned the first world chess champion. The final score was 10 wins for Steinitz, 5 for Zukertort, and 5 draws. More than a title, it was a revolution. Steinitz proved that structure defeats inspiration, that patience overcomes brilliance, and that chess has laws. His ideas shaped generations of champions. Zukertort died 2 years later, remembered not as a loser, but as the last great symbol of romantic chess. Thus, 1886 marked the birth of modern chess. Wilhelm Steinitz, the father of modern chess, the first world champion, and the man who taught humanity